The importance of a long-term acquisition plan. 95% of investors get stuck at two properties, and there's a really simple reason why. They didn't plan. So you may not have the intention of building a large portfolio, and you might have bought one property. Now, the interesting thing is that if you get great results from that property and it's helping you get somewhere and get towards your financial freedom, you often want to buy more property, right? So this is a perfect example of what happens day to day. People don't plan, they purchase great assets, and they don't get the results that they desire because they cannot continue going. And so what we want to do is plan for 3 to 5 properties, regardless of whether you intend on buying 5 properties. And I'll tell you the reason why. When we're looking at the 3 to 5 property portfolio plan, we're really identifying what is going to get us to the next deal, because the current deal is important for the next property, and then the next deal after that is important for the next one. And quite often, if you don't plan for 3 to 5 properties in advance, you purchase in the wrong structures, you're not set up for growth or scaling. And so you get these great results. You might have large equity gain, the cash flow is really good, but you cannot continue purchasing, and then you end up stuck. So quite often you see people saying, I have to sell it, but you're in a position where you're selling an asset that's actually a really good asset that's contributing to the end goal, and you really don't want to have to sell that asset. So having a plan alleviates a lot of this confusion and risk around what's the next deal, because you purchase the next deal with setting yourself up for the future in mind. Whether you do it or not, that's a different story. But really what we want to do is we want to make sure that you can continue to scale if you're able to and if you desire. Now, I guess this comes back down to ultimately having a great team of professionals. So having a great accountant, having a great buyer's agent, and a property strategist or a buyer's agent can do property strategy is really important. So they will identify any pitfalls in your current acquisition plan and make sure that it's fitting of being able to scale a portfolio. Often if you're getting great results, you want to get more great results, but unfortunately, this doesn't always work out. So having the end goal in mind and planning 3 to 5 in advance really, really solves this big problem. And I got a great example for you. Purchasing in the wrong entity, for example, great result, great equity, great cash flow. Now, if you're using creative structures such as trusts and potentially companies, you may be able to continue in your property purchases. However, if you purchase it in your individual name, you only have so much money to play with. And quite often, you feel like you're doing really well, and then the bank says, no, we're not going to lend to you because you're at maximum, you've exceeded your maximum borrowing capacity, and you're stuck. And it's not a great feeling, and it happens too often. And one simple, meeting and one simple portfolio plan can really get rid of this problem pretty fast, and everybody's set up for success. And then you can execute on that plan. If your property performance is great, we continue going if you desire. In short, plan for the future, whether you intend on executing on that plan or not, and you will actually mitigate the risk right now of the next purchase.